Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're breaking down the new KIZUNA that will be coming in about 24 hours time. In this KIZUNA, we have a super boss, and it is against our good friend Brook. So in today's video, we are going to be focusing on the 10-star event. I have a bunch of Marco teams for you guys to build up some XP, so you guys can farm that out. I have a one-team versus all that uses the Luffy friend captain, for those guys that like to boost tickets. And then I've got my big whaling team at the end for you guys that did a lot of summons. You picked up both Luffy and Chopper. And towards the... You know what, we'll do it at the beginning. Towards the beginning of the video, we'll actually talk about the Super Boss Brook. Now, as always, I don't really like to release Super Boss teams till later down the track. The big reason I don't like doing that is obviously it's a competitive event, as well as it's also being subject to change, as the teams that I built before the event are very different to, honestly, 3 hours in. So, I do have some teams built, but I am going to sort of keep them behind closed doors, see what the damage looks like, and then obviously we'll release a video and stuff like that for some options for you guys when the event is actually out. But, if you guys want to check out this information, huge shout out to the One Piece Treasure Cruise Twitter. Link in the description if you guys want to go hit it with a follow. Make sure to go do all that good stuff. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit up this video with a like. Hit up the channel with a subscription if you haven't done so already. And for all of you Chads that have, big thank you, big love. So, let's take a look at Super Boss Brook. On the first variation, there is a Dex 15-star. Free Spirit Slashers gets their cooldowns as well as their Super Switch. So, big character that I'm looking at right here is Yamato Ace. Very, very good character. When they get their Super Switch, obviously charge. Dex, obviously, immediately people are going to think of Kaido, but this here obviously makes it very hard for Kaido to actually work. This whole super boss, they've gone to extreme measures to actually reduce Kaido's effectiveness. So, unfortunately, Kaido's kind of dropped off a little bit because they realize how powerful he is in something like this particular mode. Straw Hat Crew 2 have also been fairly nerfed, but I'm sure there's going to be a way. I'm sure some people will come up with some really cool stuff. So be ready for that as well, because that's going to be really, really cool when the actual event goes live. On Battle 2, there's 10 million HP. It's a lot of HP, a lot of HP. And this is another way they like to nerf Kaido, because Kaido's obviously always built towards saving your specials for a big burst turn. Well, this obviously reduces that. There's 1 turn of attack down, 1 turn of special bind. After the first turn, you lose all your beneficial or cumulative effects, so red haki, and then you get a 1.1 slot boost and attack boost for 5 turns. So this is really, really annoying. The idea here, obviously, with Slashes and Dex, is they really want you to use something like Kinemon Denjiro or K-Dad, and then use Odin as well. So that way you get the 3 turns of attack, and you get the 3 turns of orbs. Because on the final stage, there's 99 turns of immunity, 1 turn of paralysis, 6 turns of damage reduction, 1 turn of special bind. And if you use an orb boost, or you delay, yes, that goes through delay immunity, because obviously there is immunity, you lose all your beneficial effects or cumulative values. So again, red haki, and you get 8 turns of despair, which would go down to 5 with sockets. But obviously losing those buffs means that there's no point actually doing them. And this right here, interrupt for slot boost, again, just completely nerfs Kaido. So the big characters that you want to bring here, obviously, they really pushing towards Kinemon, Denjiro, Ashura, and Dogstorm, as well as utilizing something like 6+ Odin, because you don't lose your beneficial effects moving into the 3rd stage. So, if you guys are building teams, I'd highly recommend using something like that. As for quick, on stage 1, Free Spirit, Cerebrals get their special charge and super switch. Again, just screaming Yamato Ace. Battle 2, 4.5 million HP. Your bottom row gets 3 turns of special reverse and specials locked for 3 great hits. After the first turn, you lose all your... you're basically red haki again. And then there's super block slots and 5 turns of ship bind. They tend to do these very, very annoying effects after turn 1, like ship bind, which we don't really see, and obviously super block. Since super block came into the game, it hasn't really been that prevalent. So just be mindful, if you do get super block, it's gonna suck. Boss has 99 turns of immunity, no % damage resistance. Now this kind of tells me that things like Chopper's resistance debuff, stuff like Sasaki's super type, or super class, sorry, and stuff like VV support isn't actually going to work. Now, resistance has quickly become the most valuable debuff because enemies can't remove it. It goes through immunity basically. But this here is telling me that it's not going to work. A lot of people have said something like Grey Shield, it's not going to be there and stuff, but for me, personally, I really think it's going to be that resistance debuff won't work. 1 turn of damage reduction, 1 turn of special binds, and then 5 turns of threshold. Now, this damage reduction and special bind, as you can see, it's over here as well, is very, very screaming out of utilizing carrots, the new carrot support, getting around the 1 turn of special bind. That's literally on every single phase. So Zoro is going to be really, really good for this fight. Obviously, Newest Legends, Free Spirit, Cerebrals. Those are going to shine. You could use something like Law, Super, what's his name? The Super Sugo Final Tap Law, because he'll go through immunity with his extra the extra damage debuff. Super Tandem Luffy is going to be really, really good here as well, being a quick super boss. So, if you are building teams for this, Yamato Ace, great shout here, because they get their super switch. And then obviously something like Law, Zoro, and Super Tandem Luffy should be very, very nice. As for the Strength 15 star, quick and side characters get their cooldowns and super switch. This one, people are going to struggle on. 4.5 million HP on Battle 2, 3 turns of attack down. This 3 turns of attack down is very nasty. It's going to cause a lot of people a lot of troubles. After turn 1, Red Haki, 8 turns of despair. Unfavorable slots for Strength, Dex, Quick, Recovery, Tandem for 5 turns. So Science and Int will be the only beneficial orbs. And then a boss has immunity except for defense down, so you can set the defense to 0. Enemy defense will have 20 million defense and then have a defense up. So you're not breaking through this. You can remove the defense up, but 20 million defense is still a lot. So I would highly recommend setting the defense to 0. That's going to be the best way around this. There's 1 turn of damage reduction, 1 turn of special bind. Again, carrot support screams at me here. You can remove defense up, so Hina might be an option. You can set defense to 0, so stuff like Super Tandem Law is going to be very good. And obviously my boy Super Tandem Shanks being the best Super Tandem quick unit, he's going to be a great option for you guys too. So just be mindful, this Super Boss, it's a little bit challenging, especially this one here, the strength variation. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see what some people come up with, and I'm really, really excited, as Super Boss is my favorite time of the buy month. But today, we're focusing here, we're focusing on this particular 10-star event and showcasing the teams that I have built. So let's talk about decks. Now, on Battle 1, Fighter, Free Spirit, Slashers get their cooldowns. There's 5 turns of damage reduction on Stage 2. And then on the final stage, there's 99 turns of full immunity. A slot change randomly, and all type slots become unfavorable. 5 turns of attack down and 1 turn of damage null. After level 30, the attack down goes to 6 turns and the damage null goes to 2 turns. So very, very annoying on those debuffs, but we do have some options for you right here. So the first team is the Marco team. This team is built for people that like to do a lot of assists, like to sort of XP farm, because doing assists gives you a lot of XP, and with fighters being like fighters getting their cooldowns, Marco is going to be a very good option here. To get around the damage reduction on turn 2, we have the Ace support and the support of Mr. 1 on Straw Hat Crew. Straw Hat Crew is going to be popped on turn 2, so that way you can keep the Rainbow Orbs moving into stage 3, so that way you don't have to worry about the type slots being negative. To get around the attack down, we have Ulti. To get around the damage null, we have Bullet level 5s. You can replace him with another option. And then as our orb booster, we have the KIZUNA Rare Recruit Sengoku. So pretty straightforward stuff here. Activate the superclass of Marco on turn 1. That is going to give, obviously, superclass to fighters, but it's also going to auto-trigger his special for turn 2, and that way you can get the chain boost for the final stage as well. You're going to just basically going to use Ace on... honestly, you don't even need to activate the super type on... Sorry, the superclass on turn 1. You could activate it on turn 2. That's definitely an option as well for you, so that way you don't have to pop the special. Whatever really works, but you really want to make sure you use Marco and Straw Hat Crew on turn 2, so that way you get around the damage reduction. It's 6 turns with those 2 supports. Obviously, they're pretty hefty supports, but like you could probably just bring like a character to get around it if you need to. Attack down with Ulti. Ulti's also our base stat booster, as well as being chain shenanigans, which is really, really cool. Then we have Sengoku. He's literally just our orb booster here. That's all he does. And then finally, we have Bullet to remove the damage null. We don't actually have a color affinity booster on this particular team. So, like, you could easily just rock something like Kuma here. Kuma can be a color affinity booster. That's going to work absolutely fine. We do have base stats, so, like, we don't need to use something like Sasaki. But that's the Marco team versus Dex. It should work fairly nicely. On to the next variation against Quick. Free Spirit, Slashers, and Powerhouse characters get their cooldowns, which is super nice. There's 5 turns of attack down on stage 2. And then on the final stage, there is immunity to poison delay. There you get a full... type slots get turned into super blocks, so that's something interesting that we don't really see too much. Then there is 5 turns of threshold, and then after level 30, there is an extra turn of threshold and 5 turns of defense up. So 6 turns of threshold, 5 turns of defense up, and 5 turns of attack down is really what we have to get around on this particular fight. But to get around all of this nastiness that we have right here, we have another Marco team. Now, Marco being powerhouse, he gets boosted here, and then the rest of the team is fighter, but they also have powerhouse or they have free spirit in them, so they also get their cooldowns. On stage 2, we get 5 turns of attack down, and to get around that, we have Tashigi, we have Kaku, and we have Shiryu. So 3 supports to get around attack down. We don't have to worry about anything here. Activating the superclass on Marco on turn 1 will give us an attack boost on turn 2, and then we're pretty much good to go. On the final stage, we are going to get around the super block slots by utilizing Straw Hat Crew on turn 2. So make sure you activate the Straw Hat Crew on turn 2. Very important that you do that. Otherwise, you are going to be in for a bad time. Now, you don't have to activate the superclass of Marco on turn 1 because Straw Hats will be more damage. But the real reason the Straw Hat Crew is here is just for rainbow slots. You don't have to worry about super block slots then. To get around the 6 turns of threshold, we have the KIZUNA rare recruit of Bon Clay. Bon Clay is so good because he's also color affinity, which is great. But mainly he just removes the threshold. To get around the defense up, because you can set defense to 0, we have this Blackbeard. However, before you use Blackbeard's special, you really want to make sure that you actually utilize the, what's his name? The Lucci special. Lucci gives a higher base stat boost. He's our orb booster as well, which is really, really fun. And then Blackbeard is actually our conditional boost. So this team should do bits. It should work for a very long time. And if you guys are doing a lot of assists and you want XP, these teams are definitely for you. So the final team is another Marco team, but we're taking on Strength this time. And Marco is not actually going to get boosted on Battle 1. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter because Marco gives so many cooldowns with his superclass, with his special, with his captain ability, that you are going to be in really good stead utilizing him anyway. But Strength Dex and Quick get cooldowns on stage 2. There's 5 turns of threshold. There is immunity to poison defense down. You get a full board of block slots, 5 turns of attack down, and 5 turns of resilience on the enemy. After level 30, there's 6 turns of attack down, 6 turns of resilience, and 2 turns of hunger. Very, very annoying debuff. But our boy Marco, with his limit break, can actually remove that hunger for us, which works very, very nicely. On turn 2, to get around the threshold, we're actually just going to use Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin. Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin are so good because they just remove threshold, but you could use something like Sanji and Pudding here. Sanji and Pudding's another really, really good option. Anyone that can remove 5 turns of threshold. Like, that's all you really need here. The reason I use Sachi, Beppo, and Penguin is because I just want to showcase that you could use the law support for attack down on the final stage. However, we have Robin and Jinbei. Robin and Jinbei are so freaking good. They can also remove the threshold on stage 2 if you really want to. But they're a base stat booster, and you can use the Brook support if you have it, so you can do some bit of like chain shenanigans. But they also remove 6 turns of attack down, which is going to cover you for that attack down removal. Bringing supports can work, but like just using Robin and Jinbei are going to be so good. We have this Sengoku with the support of Suru to get around the resilience, and because we have 4 or more quick and Psy characters, we can actually give ourselves an orb boost as well. It's only a little orb boost, but it does work quite nicely. And then to get around the block orbs, we're utilizing Treasure Map Luffy. Treasure Map Luffy is not only a block orb manipulator, randomly slots, but he also is a color affinity boost. And the reason we're using Luffy as well is because we can use the Ace support, and with Ace we can make our top and bottom row matching, and then we can just switch with Robin Jinbei to make sure Luffy gets an orb, and that way we pretty much have a full board of orbs as well. Marco activating his super class on turn 2 will give us an attack boost on the final stage as well. But the downside here is we're not really going to get Marco's chain boost, which is just a little bit annoying. Depending on what the specials look like, we could probably activate... Yeah, we could activate the super class on turn 1. That way we start giving ourselves some cooldowns, and we can use the auto trigger on turn 2, get the chain boost on the final stage. And then with Robin and Jinbei giving us cooldowns as well, I do think that we probably will be in like a good position to get Marco's special on the final stage as well. So again, Robin and Jinbei, they're so good because they can actually give cooldowns. Big reason why I like to bring them. You could also use the what's his name? It's like Ryu. I can never remember. It's RY. I can just never remember this guy's name. He's one of the Whitebeard pirates. This guy right here. He gives 1 turn to cooldown on the final stage too. So you could actually utilize him, and that way you just get a cooldown for Marco. Just that little bit of extra so you can just pop that special on the final stage. So they're the Marco teams. Obviously, they are built for the assists, But if you guys, because this is a super boss, right? If you guys want to actually take down them yourselves and try and like get to some higher KIZUNA levels to get a lot more super boss tokens, my boy Sim did come up with a one-team verse all, and it looks a little bit like this. So if you guys have K-Dad, you're going to be in really good stead here. K-Dad as captain can remove the attack down literally across everything, but this Bobbins, this particular rare recruit, he's boosted under every stage. Obviously, everyone is. But he removes everything that you need to worry about on stage 2. He removes 5 turns of damage reduction, 5 turns of threshold, and 5 turns of attack down. So if you have this Bobbins, just bring him on a team, and you just don't have to worry about stage 2 at all, which works very, very nicely. Obviously, this team is built with a Luffy friend captain in mind, because Luffy is going to boost those super boss gains. And if you're not bringing a friend captain Luffy, I would not run the stage. For your own fights, not bringing Luffy as a friend captain for the assists doesn't really matter because you don't boost super boss tokens, but the more Luffys you have, the better. So ideally, with this team, make sure you're bringing Luffy, very important, Luffy friend captain. On stage 2, you can activate K-Dad's super class. That's going to give you Wano orbs on your top, bottom, and tandem on your middle. And then you can activate Toki strats. Now, Toki is going to be great because Toki can give you a 3.5 times attack and orb boost to 2 units. And then with the Jinbei support, you can lock those Wano slots. So getting the 3.5 times attack and orbs, you can just literally give it to whoever you need. So on the Dex variation, you could do Toki and K-Dad. On the quick variation, you could do Brook and K-Dad. On strength variation, you could do Bobbins and like Toki. As long as you give one character with that color affinity, it's going to work great. However, you could give it to your Luffy friend captain, but just be mindful that K-Dad's not actually boosting your Luffy friend captain. To get around the hunger, we do have Kawamatsu here. Kawamatsu does need to be level 3 or higher hunger to actually like make the most of this particular team. So hopefully you guys had pulled a couple of dupes if you guys were doing summons on that particular banner. He's been out, he's been on the treasure map banner as well, so you might have picked him up there. I think he was on the treasure map banner. I'm pretty sure he was. You might have picked him up there, but look, you might have to bring like some other unit that can just give you recovery orbs. At least one, right? If you do have this Kawamatsu at all. Next, we've got Brook. Brook with the Nami support, he can actually remove an extra turn of, what's it called? He can remove an extra turn of threshold, which is great, because then that way you can, well, actually, what is this Nami support even here for? It removes a threshold, but like I think Luffy removes 6 turns of the threshold anyway, so that shouldn't matter too much. Brook, he's just here to heal, I'm pretty sure. He does block orb manipulation as well. He's kind of cool, but I don't know if he's super necessary. Luffy's going to get around the resilience with his end of turn damage. To remove the attack down, you have K-Dad as a captain. You could probably replace this Brook with another unit if you need something for hunger. Like, that could definitely work. And then to get around defense up on the final stage of the quick variation. So after, like, just quickly discussing with the GOAT himself, Bobbins is actually used to remove the defense up on that particular stage because you don't have to worry about attack down thanks to K-Dad. However, you can try something like the Nami support on K-Dad. I don't know if K-Dad's special will actually work though, but if it does work, you can set defense to 0 for 2 turns because there's no defense immunity on that particular stage anyway. So that is an actual option for you. However, this Brook is actually completely replaceable. The Brook is like just there because of block orb manipulation, and if you guys have something like Current Wonder and you have the Brûlée support, you could easily do this, and that's also going to give you a lot more damage, plus Current Wonder, another option to actually get around hunger. So that's a big thing if you're struggling with that Kawamatsu. The Kawamatsu, he is really just here just to look pretty. He's a type effective boost though, so he's going to double your color affinity. However, like, he's just completely replaceable with anyone else that can actually do that. So huge shout out to Sim for the team. It actually works. It's going to work fairly well across the board. Toki does last a very long time, but if you don't have K-Dad, you don't stress. You don't really need K-Dad. You could easily run something like Toki for this particular stage, and then have something like Odin on the team. The main reason K-Dad's here is K-Dad can actually give the Wano slots, so that's an option. You could also use something like Hiyori to give Wano slots, and then bring a different cat, like bring Odin as your captain, and then bring Hiyori as a sub, because Odin's going to be a orb booster, as well as Luffy being a, what's it called, an attack booster. So if you really wanted to, if you were struggling and you didn't have K-Dad, you could easily do Odin. You could bring something like Hiyori as a sub here. Hiyori is another really good option for hunger, so if you're struggling there, you could do something like that. And then you also have the super type of Odin as well. So a lot of options for this particular Kizuna. Like I said, bring a friend. Luffy, that is going to be very, very important. But I do have a big old whaling team for you guys that did a lot of summons that looks a little bit like this. Now, as I mentioned, Bobbins is literally just there for stage 2. He's going to take down all of the nasty effects. Damage reduction, threshold, attack down. He's got it covered. Toki on turn 2. You're just going to pop them both on Luffy's. Luffy's going to get the attack buff and the orb buff. They have type advantage. Nami, Boa, and Robin are going to be the color affinity boost. And then Chopper and Luffy are going to take care of all those nasty debuffs on the final stage. So, works out quite well. So, that's the 10-star event against the new Super Boss Kizuna. Well, not the Super Boss, but the KIZUNA BROOK. And then, hopefully, you guys can use this to sort of build your own teams. Or, if these teams work for you, they actually help you out as well. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me. If you are new to the channel or you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. Most importantly, though, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Later!